Right here. If you said you had the mail, it's got to get out of the way.
Tell me anything about it.
Last chance to stop before off-ramp. What does that mean?
Take this exit. Turn right. Slow down.
Welcome to Off-Ramp.
Welcome back, Mr. Puppet. You and the Cheerful Philosopher have quite a little tale to tell.
Yes, we do.
You know, what exactly is cheerful about your philosophy?
Well, I'd say, starting from first principles, that you have to take the root of the word cheer. Cheer began with the ancient...
we go.
Do you have something to say on the subject, Mr. Puppet?
Oh, I've heard your cheerful philosophy before. Blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is that if you'd comb your hair and open a window, you could find real happiness in life.
Oh, well...
If you take the word puppet and invert the middle consonant, which is a usual trick that we do to
Here we go.
get the meaning out of words, because the
Take
meaning is
the
found
poor
in the
puppet
center.
and invert his
And if you take
consonants.
the puppet and turn uppy into ipu, then you have the Sumerian word epuet.
Well, let's... thank you. And perhaps you could share with us how exactly you came on the idea of lecturing on your cheerful philosophy with a puppet.
Well, Jackson, I first came across the idea. Why aren't you looking at me?
I'm looking.
He
I'm
asked
looking
me.
dead in your eyes, but
Oh, my glazed-over wooden eyes.
Well-
You should adopt a more cheerful philosophy.
I'm hoping to.
Not you, him.
Oh,
You're fine. You smell like pine sol, though.
I started this lecture tour back in 1953 when I founded the School of Cheerful Philosophy. I was lecturing mostly by myself at that time, although sometimes in tandem with another philosopher of the same school.
Tell him what really happened.
I was...
Tell him what was
I've
really
got it.
like.
Forgive me for interrupting. I have never seen ventriloquy at this level before. You are amazing. How do you do it? How did you learn that?
What do you mean exactly?
Oh, brother.
Throwing your voice.
Do you mean... Oh, it's just projection to speak in front of a crowd.
Having the puppet talk without your mouth moving.
This guy's dense, isn't he?
Great. It's really
I mean,
good.
we got over better in Newark with that squad of 4-H club members interviewing us.
You might notice that my hands aren't actually attached to the puppet.
Yeah, I
right
was
now.
going to ask you about that, too. How in the
And it's gonna
world...
stay that way, bud.
How in the world... I mean, is he animatronic or, is it some sort of...
Are you
Some
talking
sort of
about
robot or...
To be honest, I wish I knew. If you can shed any light, he showed up backstage one day and said,
I don't...
Without going into details,
it's incredible, but you're probably confusing some of the people in the audience.
No, unfortunately...
Unfortunately, they're not confused?
No, I'm not actually making the puppet talk.
Wait a minute. What?
Here we go.
It really raises some interesting questions.
This is great. This is part of your cheerful.
Very cheerful,
Okay.
I'm sure.
Let me just. I'm going to step back out and let you just
Oh,
take
sure.
over, cheerful philosopher.
Mother always liked you best.
When I came off that trip, rain-soaked, corn-fed, and slightly the worse for wear. But I tell you, I never looked at Circus the same way again.
How did you look at it?
Well, I'd seen it from both sides. I'd seen it from underneath the tent flap, and I'd seen it from behind the cage of the tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And between the bearded lady and the strong man, there wasn't much room. Not at night.
There wasn't much left between the bearded lady and the strong man.
And there wasn't much right between anybody else.
Mm-hmm. I used to hear a plaintive call of a carny late of an evening.
Once they get going,
Wafting over the bayous.
I'll tell you what's scary. You walk down the midway, after all's said and done, and after everybody's been tied down and closed up, and you can still hear them.
Mm-hmm. Trying to corral the next sucker into the sideshow.
You can hear the money in the shill's pockets.
Jingling, jangling,
Do you still have that dart-throwing dog?
tingling,
Yeah,
tangling.
wouldn't get rid of something like that. Dart-throwing dog.
Money maker. Money machine.
He can also shoot the little red star out of a card at about 8.5 feet, too.
With a water gun?
No, he uses a little BB gun.
Oh.
Now, I can't give my dog. I can't let him have access to a BB gun anymore after what happened on Labor Day.
Has it been writ that way?
Yeah, we put a sign on the wall with all the regulations that the dog must follow.
Well, it's only fair you got rules. He's in your house,
Absolutely.
or his own dog house, but I suppose.
I've got a ring-tossing dolphin fish, that throws those little rings around the necks of the Coke bottles.
That's sweet. That's a money maker, too. We had a ringtail lemur that could roll caramel apples in peanuts. He liked to do it all day long. You had to keep him in caramel apples, or he'd grab the hands of the children. And
Do you mean
to keep the dolphin fish in salt water?
Keeps them fresh.
Mm-hmm. Tough to throw from underneath the surface, though. He'd have to break the surface and then do the toss.
Did you know they're a mammal?
Mm-hmm.
I had a Moto dragon, what could play tic-tac-toe. We had to send him away to see every time anybody would. It's really hard to cheat at tic-tac-toe, but if you gave him the appearance of having cheated, even if you hadn't really cheated, he'd just, he'd bite your head off, is what he'd do. And,
they'll take you down and roll with you.
Yeah. And, 3 or 4 times of that, we had to really,
What'd you do, put him out on the road? Get him a job with
he's in a traveling musical now.
He's
a good tenor for someone who's
put up a
7
tent,
feet
Kenny.
long, but only 2 feet high. He sends postcards every once in a while.
Well, that's good. Keeping in touch.
That's a good boy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember if we ever told you about the time we put an ad in the paper asking for a human fireball.
Did you get anybody come down to it?
Well, it was winter, so we had an unusually high response rate because it was one of their worst winters.
So did you have like an audition?
Yeah, we had a couple of people that came, to wait in line on fire, which was, we couldn't get to them right away, and that was the unfortunate thing.
Well, amateurs are like that.
Yeah, and they're so eager. You don't want to discourage. You want to encourage somebody that wants to go into the business.
But if they're flammable, you want to make sure that it's a safe situation.
Right.
Do you think that describing the position as the fire marshal gave people the wrong expectation?
Well, that was just the name we were tossing around, but we,
what we did was we had a human bowling ball.
Oh, that's nice. How many people can you get in a bowling alley, though?
You can, if there's bleachers, you can get lots of people in the bowling alley. The hard part was to get the human bowling pins at the other end for the show.
How long did you have that human bowling ball?
Really, only about a tour of about a week.
Yeah,
it was a fragile situation.
You charged people to be the bowling pins, right? Kind of for the honor of being struck down by the human bowling ball.
We would take people out of the audience that seemed to be
shaped like a bowling pin
and suitably gullible.
Yeah.
And we'd tie a little red ribbon around their necks.
Well,
you must have heard about the incident that kept us out of the flammable business. You didn't hear?
No.
Well, what happened was this.
That had something to do with the cat. What carved the ice sculptures, wasn't it?
We had an ice sculpture, an experimental ice sculpture.
A nice sculpture?
It was a nice sculpture while it lasted. It was experimental in that it was not made out of ice water. It was made out of ice kerosene.
Ah.
And the cat, what carved it,
like Daddy-O?
No, his name was Pugsley. He was a Bengal tiger.
Oh.
Yeah.
He had one steel claw, and that's what he would do all the detailing with.
His right or his left?
It was as you faced him, if he was going to swat you, you had to watch out if it was coming from your right. So that would be his left. Front paw had one steel claw. He was a left-handed cat.
Unless you were running from him, in which case it'd be on your...
It would be on your coming across your left.
Right.
Left what?
Left a trail of
blood.
Anywhere that did that. Well, we'd let him out so he could carve the ice. And he was out, and he carved this block of kerosene. When he got down to the detail, of course, he used his steel claw, struck a spark on an impurity in the kerosene. Kerosene ice is hard to become, get pure. I mean, you don't need it to be pure.
No.
Bits of rust are quite common in the kerosene ice, at least of the day. Anyway, to say it was a conflagration would be mincing words, I think. And by the time we put the fire out, we had lost all of the tents, and anyone who was tense had become hypertense.
That's terrible.
We were closed for at least 3 days.
We hired an ice sculptor who insisted that he could sculpt it still in liquid form and then freeze it.
Now the key to doing that, from what I hear, you have to carve fast.
Like crazy. In California, we picked up a helium carver. And
what do you use to actually carve? What kind of tool would you
very
call
sharp
that?
chisel. Very sharp. And we were a little worried about that till we realized that he was unlike the hydrogen carver we had. There was no danger of combustibility.
Now, the important thing with a helium carver, from what I understand, you have to start with a helium carver with a really low voice.
Otherwise, you can't hear the patter is completely lost when it goes over the dogs will be upset.
Midnight in a foreign land. Feels a lot like noon. The sky is all sideways and tilted like a carnival ride. Things that used to make sense don't really. Like I don't really remember whether I have a Class C driver's license or not and what that means. I was hungry when I woke up and I went to the market and ordered something to eat. What I got was brown and kind of wiggling. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use a fork or not. But I bought this overcoat in a desperate attempt to blend in. I'm waiting for some kind of sign or word that my message got through. So far, all I've seen is reruns of 70s game shows, and I don't think they would have planted them that early to get the message to me. It seems like, I don't know, a lot of forethought. But I've noticed patterns in the games that these old men play on the patio here. It looks like checkers, but the chips spell out names of my old friends in binary. Even some people I haven't seen since 3rd grade. I keep meaning to go up and ask these people, these gentle but cagey looking old men who haven't shaved for 42 years, how they knew about Bobby Miller and that whole wedgie incident back in 84. But something about this strange music is giving me pause.
Oh, sorry, I got myself all set in here. I'm good.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Mr. John Stonian.
And Quentin.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you sitting there.
Quentin?
Foot.
This is Bob. I don't know if you know each other.
Hello, Bob.
Quentin. Now that's a rather interesting name, sir.
Thank you.
We try to get people from the same field who have not met or worked together.
Oh, are you a philologist?
For these 30 years.
Oh, your philology studies date back to certainly to the beginning of the field. That's quite impressive. I'm glad to meet you.
And now? your mistaken research.
Well, it's not so much a mistake as perhaps inadvertently discovering a new field for study, and that was nosebleeds of the mind. And
I think those actually exist, don't they? I mean,
that was the mistake.
Brain hemorrhage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you were mistaken that it was new, is what you're...
Well, we thought that there may be some sort of psychological component.
Oh.
One's upbringing might indeed influence the nosebleeds of the mind.
I see. And
but I was wrong.
And the way you set this experiment up was...
Well, we started out using 30 subjects in a rather controlled experiment with a double blind, because we didn't know who any of the chosen experiment subjects were. And
always wise.
At the midway of the county fair, we strapped 3 of them on this big machine that would spin them around, because it's difficult to find a centrifuge that large.
Especially for only 75 cents a whirl.
Yes, sir. But these were funded experiments.
Oh.
So that was money was not an issue.
Ah. And the mistaken research that you discovered from your midway experiment was?
Well, the subjects that were the control subjects, the double-blind subjects, they wandered away. We were unable to ascertain precisely if they were having nosebleeds of the mind or not.
Thank you. And now, Quentin.
Thank you.
No, you don't have to leave. So you can just, if you're, just be polite.
I'm quite intrigued.
Okay, then the polite thing to do would be wait until Quentin has taken his turn.
It's a squeaky chair, isn't it, sir? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if you need to go, just.
I'm going to stay.
Thank you. All right, put the seatbelt back on. Too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Quentin,
what?
Your area is quite an interesting one. I can't, however, read your handwriting. Something to do with wind.
Yes.
Wind. Does that say wind shield or wind shear or wind?
It's.
Or is this winding sheets? What is this?
I'm sorry. Are these free?
No. Thank you. But you can just touch with your eyes, okay?
I've had 3 of them at this point.
Touch with your eyes. Thank you.
Do I need to sign something?
Bob, this is Quentin's turn.
Thank you,
all right,
sir.
Quentin?
Well, what I discovered was that sometimes people imagine wind shear where it has not actually occurred. For instance, there was a man in 1967, which we read about. I'm sure you're familiar with the case. He was sitting on his porch when he thought that his entire left side of his house, including his own body, had been turned into a trapezoidal shape due to intense typhoon-like winds.
I remember that, Quentin, quite strongly, having read that historical document, that paper.
That's right.
Thank you. Well, he's reading my bio. That was me.
That was you.
Yeah. I heard that you leapt to your death from your porch, mistakenly thinking your house had raised into the air when it hadn't.
That in fact was the mistake. I mean, that
you didn't actually die.
Precisely. I mean, my obituary was premature, as they say.
I wish you'd told me that sooner.
I'm telling you.
I've spent 30 years of my life studying this phenomenon.
Well, see, Quentin, you've been making a real mistake for the last 30 years.
You're the only subject we could find, but we were certain that this was a real occurrence.
We got a kick out of it. We've been following you. Following your papers and your turn downs.
We have computer models.
This is extraordinary.
What this would mean if this happened across the country all at once.
We particularly have been amused by the publication rejection slips that you've been getting. Those are really entertaining.
Trapezoidal.
Yes. It wasn't even breezy, you're saying?
I'm just saying the entire idea of it was a big mistake, and the research necessarily was just absurd. Alleged research in this instance. I mean, these are hardly scientific methodologies. If I could review a few of them with our listeners,
I think that some of my experiments were quite ingenuous.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
Does this mean I won't be getting my grant money this year?
This means not only will you not be
This is a mental nosebleeding process. Watch him leap to his death from a chair he believes has gone high into the air.
See how his hair stands up on one side only.
It seems trapezoidal.
I've been vindicated at last. So, it's like I was saying.
Hey.
The thing about it is, there's less when you stop than there was when you started.
Well, that's the way it is with most things, isn't it, really? I mean, once you've started, you're either taking things away or you're adding them to them.
It's a tricky matter.
It's not so tricky, really. If you think you think of life as a big pile of things, and as you live your life, you're either taking them from the pile or you're putting them on the pile.
Taking them from the pile or putting them on the pile.
Yes, you're doing one after the other.
Taking or putting.
From or to. The pile is life.
Oh, the pile of life.
The pile is life.
How much can you take at one time is what I want to know.
If you live your life with... You see, if you live your life with double handfuls...
Speaking
noticed...
Would you mind holding me?
Yes.
It's a large
It is going to
box.
spill over. See,
It's
now some bits of life can
huge
run away
box.
and fall on the ground, and then it becomes trampled and recycled. No,
Spilling it.
they're going to be right here next when you need them.
Those
Pick
are
up
mine.
the corner.
Please don't
Hold the
confuse
corner
them.
Don't
up.
actually need these.
I don't want him to take
Taking
mine
or
when he picks it
putting
back up.
from
You
the
see?
pile. My pile is my pile, not your pile.
It's spilling into my pile, is what I'm saying.
This is the
Let's
way a
keep-
child thinks.
Let's keep these boundaries
My pile is my
distinct.
pile.
He's pontificating as far as
Now,
I can see.
Maybe
have
if
you
we
never
talk
noticed
over
that
him.
if you grasp
Speak
things
Latin,
with
perhaps
both
he'll
hands,
understand.
you grip something tightly from the pile of life and pull toward you with all your might, you actually get less than if you were to gently scoop and support life.
This is the same talk he gave
Type
last week
of life
at
that
the sewing
you would
circus.
grasp
Dreadful.
where the Tao
Now-
of pile begins.
This is a retirement
Because
party. Did
what-
anyone mention
what-
it to him?
Behind the pile, in
So
relationship
you're
to the
directing
pile,
my attention to
this is
him
what
and
is
then
different,
moving
and this
my
is what
pile
happens
towards yours.
in
I
the
can see
middle
this
of
happening
modern
again and
life.
again.
It's behind you, you see.
All right, gents. If you do not get these out of the box
Sir, we had a...
and into the delivery
We
truck,
Oh, dear.
you're gonna
I'm gonna
be
tell him.
docked again on your pay. Is that clear?
How many hands do you see here? 'Cause we need more hands.
Than the four that you and I have.
Exactly.
I think...
We had
Let
six.
me assure you that your last ham-handed attempt was in fact a poor excuse for an actual delivery, no matter how many hands you had or not.
Boss, I'm afraid I'm going to have to bring something to your attention before we handle any more of these crates.
Go on, tell him. Go tell him.
I've got to, because he's going to find out one way or the other.
Go
It's
ahead.
better that we tell
What
him.
is
Tell
it
him.
this time?
These crates, you see the air holes in these crates?
Yes,
That's
of
an
course.
inch and a half air hole.
I can
These are
see.
inch snakes.
1 inch snakes long?
Half of these
1
crates-
inch long?
They're 1 inch in diameter.
Well,
half
there's-
of these snakes, half of these crates are empty.
All we do is deliver. We do not measure the actual goods.
There's one right there. You don't have to measure it. You can just compare it
Look,
to that
there's-
1 inch piece of pipe.
I do not care whether they are getting shortchanged or not.
What I just
I
wanna
do
know
care
is if we're-
make
Yes, sir.
the delivery on time.
Are we responsible for the crates or the snakes?
They came to us direct from
Do
the
we have
factory
to
like
put the
this.
snakes back into the crates, or can we just deliver the crates as is? I don't want to complain, but they're eating most of our rats.
You better gather up every last one of them. Get them in. I don't care if you put them in that gunny sack over there. I don't care what else you find to stick them in.
Don't play that song. That's the snake dance song. Play the snake.
Look at them. They're cute little-
Play the snake. Get the hell back in
Get
the
up-
crate song.
Oh,
Remember?
where's that book?
It's in D.
D. Boys, I want to leave this to you. And if it's not all cleaned up in about 10 minutes...
10 minutes. I'm going to have to play faster.
This was the first song I learned to play.
Really?
Let's see if I can remember it.
Oh. Looks like you've still got it.
I don't usually do it with the capo in this position,
Really? Just a little Just I see you're still remembering it.
Yeah.
Did you teach yourself, or had a teacher? Or?
I learned all of my movements, chord changes from Spanish class. Actually, you'll notice if you watch carefully, each of these chords spells out one of the irregular Spanish verbs, left to right.
Just a little slower. I didn't catch that one. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. That one means to elucidate.
Yeah. Not a lot of, I always get that wrong.
Uh-huh. A lot of people do.
And that is?
To obtain a large briefcase inadvertently.
Yeah. The inadvertent attainment.
Yeah. That can be translated a couple of different ways, but it's, the common.
Yeah, the conjugation would
Sure.
lead to that. That's the running through the store screaming loudly.
Yes. To run is with this kind of the larger context.
It's the combination of running and screaming.
Right.
Two of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily in that order, but...
Well, if you scream first and then run, you waste so much energy, not to mention time.
You do have a point.
Maybe we could try a little running and screaming now.
This show was improvised by Gary Bass, Matthew Cowley, and Dave Waterman. Edited by Sheila Daughtry and mixed by Matthew Cowley.
It's in the liner notes and stuff, but
Yeah.
a lot of people don't read those.
I gotta confess, I didn't.
It gets translated wrong a lot of times, and so that puts it into a diminished rather than an augmented, and that really just changes the whole flavor. But I find that even if they don't really understand, word per word what I'm playing, it kind of subliminally works. They get it, they feel the emotion, they feel compelled to tip, that kind of thing.